Hi, I'm Mike Fox. I'm a landscape architect with WPL in Virginia Beach, and I've been there since 2001. We've been a surveying company since 1960 and slowly added engineering in the 90s and then eventually landscape architecture in 2000. So it's been a really fun ride, a lot of creative projects, a lot of fun work. Quite frankly, most of the work on the ocean front that's been transformative we've been involved in. It's been a real fun time. So one thing I'd like to talk about to you today is the LEED program. That's LEED is in L.E.E.D. That's Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. It's a program put out by the U.S. Green Building Council. And unless you're involved in architecture or engineering or maybe go to a large public building on a regular basis, you might not discover exactly what that's about, but I'm sure you've heard of it. The LEED is it's a program that measures sustainability. So if you were to pick up, let's say you go to the grocery store, you pick up a box of cereal, you turn it around, you look at the nutritional facts on it, it tells you exactly what's in that cereal, how healthy or unhealthy it is. Same thing with LEED. It's a program kind of that shows the sustainable facts of a building or a site. Most often these are for public buildings, large institutions, maybe a school, maybe a library, could even be a police station. I've worked on just about every kind of LEED project in my corporation over the last 20 years, and it's been really interesting to see what they measure. They can measure how the land is situated on the site with the development, how much of it is impervious or how much of it's hard surface versus planted surface. Those kinds of things it measures for stormwater quality. It looks at the building in terms of energy use and how it's getting its energy. Is it from solar cells or wind turbines or other manner? And it really has a lot of ingredients in there, and water reuse, the plant material that you use, and how the building's oriented. All these play into factors that measure how sustainable something is. And you have a score sheet for every one of these projects that you go right on down topically through the score sheet, and you total up your points when you're done scoring it, and you're either at a gold or a platinum or maybe a silver or even a basic certification that ranks your building in terms of how sustainable it is. And you'll see a lot of these buildings in Virginia Beach. You'll see a lot of them in Chesapeake. You'll see Norfolk. Any of these towns around here that have got major buildings and development projects going on have all entered into the LEED and sustainable design. So it's a lot of fun. And if you want to try to break this down into more of a personal level and try to apply the LEED principles maybe to your home or to your small business, and if you just put all the scoring stuff aside and you say, how can I just do the right thing? There's a lot of places to start. One of the ways you can start is by just taking account of what your stormwater is doing on site. Is it draining off your roof into the garden bed, and maybe is your asphalt parking lot draining off into a ditch that leads to a stream somewhere? All these surfaces have runoff that takes pollutants down into the drains and eventually into our stormwater system or our natural waterways, and eventually, in our case, the Bay or Elizabeth River or something like that. So you want to be conscious of how you're planting, and plant material is a big kind of a big way to break up the water and to soak up water. We do a lot of rain gardens on a lot of projects. We depress areas in our yards and different lawn areas. We depress them and put plants in there that like water. Maybe they're perennials or evergreens. Maybe it's ornamental grasses or some small trees. These all take up the water and the storm water with the nutrients and basically cleanse that water and allow the rest of the water to seep into the ground. I always tell people the biggest mistake that you make when you're doing planting design on a site is you put the wrong plant in the wrong location. And 9 times out of 10, that has to do with your plant size. If you're picking a plant that's too big for a space or maybe too small even, that's usually where the problems start. So you want to ask your local growers, if you go to a nursery, ask them what have they seen in terms of plant sizes, how tall and how wide do they grow. That way you're not planting a really big shrub next to your building and it grows into your building and becomes a problem. So picking out your plants for rain gardens and things becomes very important, and oftentimes the books that you read are all over the place with opinions from A to Z, and that's because the authors may or may not have experience in this particular microclimate. So your yard may function differently than the rest of Hampton Roads, let's say, because of your sun conditions and your soil and how the water is draining across your site. So that's just one small way that you can help with being sustainable in terms of getting rain off of pavements and to a kind of a safe place to get kind of cleansed before being let into the groundwater. And I hope that helps put a little bit of perspective from this big incomprehensible LEED thing, which is a huge kind of project-born thing. It's a really interesting process. But maybe on a local level, on your small backyard level, if you start thinking about these broader concepts in your backyard, and rain gardens, planting with native plants, and planting in season would make a huge difference. So thank you very much.